All right, everybody, these are my Griff boots, and I just added this toe spike on there, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. So I thought I'd go into detail as to how I made that, and a little bit more details regarding the boot. All right, so these were some thrift store boots that I bought. I guess they're Nevada boots. And what kind of sold me on these were this great big sole to it. So it's like looks like a tractor tire kind of thing. So I went over it with, I can't remember if that was paint or nail polish or something, but just to make those slants look a little more, like stand out a little more, the way Griff's boots do. And so I did that. This is just some foam fabric that I bought at the dollar store, like a drawer liner material or something, some kind of matte stuff. So I added these eyelets on there. I got like an eyelet punch. That was a gift from my uncle. So those are just straps that hook on to this piece back here, which it's kind of, if it were flattened out, it would kind of look like a top hat kind of thing. But so I stuck that on there. I glued it as much as I could, but glue didn't really seem to want to stick to the shoe very well. So that's why it comes up into this fabric back here. And down around the bottom, put a whole bunch of staples in there because, like I said, glue didn't really seem to want to stick to it. So because the sole is so heavy and thick, I was able to put all these staples in there and not have to worry about them sticking into my feet. This piece here looks a lot like what's on Griff's boots. And this is actually just a really large button that I painted the back of it. So I painted it chrome. That should be more almost like a mirror finish. And then that's a stud that was from a belt that I found somewhere. And so it had 4 pegs in that stud. And the button had 4 holes, so it just latches onto that button, folds through the holes, and then comes undone right here. So I put some Velcro there, Velcro right there. And they're actually really comfortable boots, so they lace all the way up here. This strap is just for show, so that doesn't do anything. And because it's on the toe, like, you don't have to loosen it at all. And yeah, so there's another emblem right there. It says Nevada on it. And so this comes right across in the front there and hides that. Like that. There we go. So these things here, now I could make that more look more accurate, but these are kind of cool. They were little carpet edge protectors. I used to work at a carpet store and I was a cleaner there, and these things would just fall off of their carpet samples all the time onto the floor, and then I'd end up picking them up and throwing them away. So when I was working on these boots, I ended up saving those and using them as the little corner protectors. So yeah, if I ever want to make that a little more accurate, I could just put some foil tape on there and make it look a little more spiky like the toe. Which leads me to the toe. This is a new toe spike, like I said. The old one kind of looked like an ice cream cone kind of thing. I wasn't really happy with it because it didn't wrap around over the front like this. So what I used for this was this foam yoga mat material kind of stuff. Now this is kind of thick, so if you were to do this to your own boots, I would recommend using like craft foam. So I was looking all around the house. I couldn't find any craft foam anywhere, so I ended up using this because that's kind of what I originally bought this for, was for doing crafts like this. And then the edges here don't look as thick, so I ended up cutting them on an angle so that it didn't look as thick as this stuff. So that was just I just angled the scissors inwards a bit so that you get this top edge kind of sticking out. So that's what's going on there. And yeah, this foam was kind of cool because once I gave it its shape, then I'd go over it with the heat gun, and then you know, I joined the seams here with some crazy glue and baking soda, and then go over it with the heat gun, and it would just kind of hold its shape like that. And then the heat gun kind of gave it like a nice smooth texture. It was almost silver like this after heating this material. But like I went over it with chrome spray paint as well. So it was really tricky trying to get this shape and trying to figure out how to get that right shape, because it's really, personally, I don't really think it looks quite like a horn. Maybe this one does, but in the movie it doesn't quite look like a horn. It looks more like a shark nose from the front like that. And so that's what I was going for. And yeah, I think they turned out pretty good. So for anyone curious as to how to make these, I made a template. So I used a whole bunch of trial and error methods, but here's the template that I came up with. So this is a piece of cardstock, and it's 5 7/8 inches across this way, 3 inches going up, and that's not quite a straight edge. So if I bring it over here onto my bedside table here, more Back to the Future stuff there. So if I line that up like that, I don't know what kind of angle you would call that, but that's coming in by about a centimeter. So that's probably fine to keep that a straight edge, but I tapered it in a little bit. And the same down here. Again, that's not quite straight, so it curves in a bit this way and this way, so whatever angle you would call that, like 20 degrees or something. Anyways, so it's 3 inches on the sides here, 3 inches there, and 5 7/8 across. So that would of course depend on whatever boot you're wearing, but the idea is to trace this onto some foam, preferably craft foam, like I said, because it's thinner and you might be able to shape the toe a little bit better that way. So you bring in this edge and this edge together, and I will set the camera down and show you what that looks like. All right, so if I bring this edge in to join up with this edge, just like that. So I didn't leave any overlapping at all. I just taped the foam on the inside, and then I ended up using super glue or crazy glue or whatever and baking soda just to stiffen up this edge and make it really nice and strong. And then I went over it with a heat gun and tried to shape this and kind of curl it up a little bit like a shark nose. So yeah, that was the shape I was going for. And then this kind of evens out and looks, because of that curve, it kind of looks straight once you get it onto the boot. So for this curve, I ended up just tracing plate. Now I know that doesn't look very circular, but this is probably because I've made so many different templates and then kept tracing templates rather than having that plate shape. But so yeah, if you end up making these, then start with a template like this and size it to your boot and see how it looks. I also forgot to mention how I attached these. I used contact cement, so you can see this chalk line there. So I traced over, put it over there and traced over it with chalk, and then I ran some contact cement up and around this way on the boot, around that way on the boot, and then the same on the inside of the foam. You let it dry for 10 minutes or whatever, so do the other one while this one's drying and then come back to this one. And yeah, you just stick it on there with contact cement, and yeah, hopefully it holds. So it seems to be holding now. So that's what I was doing today. So yeah, it looks really good. It might be a little bit too pointed, but I'm happy with it. It looks good. So I don't know how many of you are Back to the Future 2 fans, but if you end up making a Griff costume, then hopefully that'll help. Oh yeah, and these buckles here were, that was from just a previous costume that I had. Luckily I had them on hand. It was, I think, an Edward Scissorhands costume. So I had a whole bunch of buckles from that. All right, let me know what you think, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future.